A conflict has once again erupted between the US and Canada, the impact of which cannot be limited to just these two countries. US President Donald Trump has imposed a 50% tariff on Canadian products, and Canada has clearly stated that if the US imposes tariffs, Canada will respond dollar for dollar. So, what exactly happened between the two countries? Is this just a temporary trade dispute, or has a major trade war already begun between the US and Canada? In today's story, we will understand what the matter is, which products will be affected, how much damage the US and Canada could suffer, and how this could impact ordinary people. On August 22, 2026, the United States imposed 50% tariffs on approximately $20 billion worth of Canadian goods. These tariffs cover a wide range of products. Prior to this, intense trade negotiations were ongoing between the US and Canada for several days, but the talks broke down at the last moment. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney says the US proposed changes are unfair and economically damaging to Canada, while the US side says Canada demanded last-minute concessions. Trump administration has long complained about Canada's trade policies and demanded greater access for American companies to the Canadian market. For this reason, tariffs have been used as a negotiation tool. However, Canada has decided to respond to this US move. Mark Carney has talked about dollar-for-dollar retaliation, meaning that if American tariffs impose an additional financial burden on Canadian exporters, Canada could also impose retaliatory tariffs on American products. Now the question is what impact this will have on America. Tariffs are imposed on foreign products, but the other country doesn't bear the full impact. When an imported product arrives in America, the importer has to pay the tariff, and if the company passes that extra cost on to consumers, the price of the product may increase. Although actual consumer prices depend on many factors, prolonged tariffs certainly pose a risk of increasing costs for businesses. The situation is also difficult for Canada, as the US is its most important trading partner. If Canadian products become more expensive in the American market, the risk of reduced demand for Canadian businesses could increase. Industries could face particular pressure, and companies could be forced to seek alternative markets. The biggest question now is whether this dispute could escalate into a full-scale trade war. This cannot be answered definitively yet, as both countries have strong economic incentives to keep the dialogue path open. The economies of the US and Canada are closely connected, and the supply chains of many industries extend across there. Maintaining trade barriers for a long time could be costly for businesses on both sides. The most important question in the coming days will be whether Washington and Ottawa resume negotiations or whether both countries further increase their retaliatory tariff. This dispute could also impact the USMCA and North American trade. If tariffs and counter-tariffs continue to escalate, uncertainty could increase for businesses, forcing companies to make new decisions regarding production, investment, and supply chains. If the trade war between the US and Canada escalates, the rest of the world will also have to worry, as both are major economies, and trade disruption between them could force global companies to rethink their supply chain. Three things will be of paramount importance in the coming days. First, how big will Canada's retaliation be? Second, will the Trump administration extend tariffs to more sectors? And third, will negotiations resume between the two countries? Both sides return to negotiations, a way to reduce tariffs may be found, but if retaliation continues, the situation could become significantly more complicated. So, friends, what happened today between the US and Canada is not just a tariff dispute. It's an economic confrontation that could impact the direction of North American trade. The US has imposed a 50% tariff on Canadian goods, and Canada has responded by hinting at dollar-for-dollar retaliation. The world is now watching Washington and Ottawa. Will the two countries return to the negotiating table, or will the trade war between the US and Canada escalate further? Is Trump's 50% tariff in America's best interest, or will it only harm American consumers and businesses? Share your opinion in the comments, and don't forget to subscribe to the channel for more such USA breaking news and easy explanations of world politics.